What's up everybody, it's CJ and I'm back with another Fort Briar building video. So today I'm actually here with the speed build, which is wild. I feel like I don't do speed builds as much as I used to, so it's kind of good to like get back into it, you know? But today I am building a dance club. So if you don't know, Damien F519, also known as Gargamel, is working on a custom world. I think the second beta is out. If you want to go like test it out, it's not out yet, but if you want to like play it and like see if there's anything that's wrong with the world or if there's any routing issues, there is a playable version that is available to download, so I will leave a link to that down below. I also have a playlist of all the other builds that I've worked on in this little series, so if you want to watch any of those, I will leave it linked down below as well. But today I am building a dance club. So Gargamel wanted me to build a club, and then the last build that I have to do is a shell challenge, which I do not know what I want that to be yet, so we're gonna have to figure that out. But I am doing a dance club today, which is kind of cool because I don't even know the last time I've ever built a dance club. Like, have I ever built one on this channel? I don't even know. But today I am building a dance club, and I'm calling this one the Purple Twilight Dance Club. The reason why it's like Purple Twilight is because the color scheme on the inside is kind of like purpley, you know? But you'll see that in a little bit. So I'm kind of starting outside, and I wanted something that was kind of modern. I was trying to get out of my comfort zone and use some constrained floor elevation, which was not that bad this time around. Maybe because the build wasn't that complicated, but if y'all don't know, I do not like using constrained floor elevation. I kind of do if it can work, but usually in my case it doesn't work like I want it to, or I don't do something right. So I don't tend to use it when I build in The Sims 3 or The Sims 2. But if you do know how to use it, you can do some interesting looking designs and houses and stuff like that, especially modern homes. You can make some really interesting looking homes when you use it, but you know, I'm still like a noob, so I don't really use it that much. But today I did use it in this build. I think it makes the building look a little bit interesting. Now, I was not allowed to use any stuff packs or custom content with this world, so I only had to use stuff from the expansion packs. But just know there was times when I wanted to use like certain things, you know, like certain plants and certain like decor items, but this whole entire build is just expansion pack. I would say honestly, if you want to download this and just like place it in your own game, you're gonna definitely need late night, because I had to like put bars and stuff. I also used some stuff from Showtime. There's some other stuff sprinkled around, but I would say you mainly need late night, and you also mainly need Showtime for this kind of build, because otherwise you're gonna be missing some stuff. So as you can see, I'm kind of finishing up with the outside. I added some trees, I added some shrubs. There's also like a really big parking lot, you know, because I'd imagine that a lot of Sims are gonna want to come here, you know. So I made two big parking lots. There's a lot of empty space in the middle, so if you ever want to come and add more stuff, you can. As you can see, I'm using some constrained floor elevation just to kind of put some platforms up on this roof. Technically speaking, you don't really need constrained floor, I don't think, for this cheat. I think it's like a place freezes on, I think that's the cheat, or something like that. So I ended up using that one for the platforms, but I did use some constrained floor to kind of like level down some things. So yeah, as you can see, like right there, I had to like level that part back down. It's not the hardest thing to use if you know what to do. I'm getting better at using it, but I just do not like constrained floor, y'all. Like, it's not my favorite. But as you can see, the build is starting to take its shape. I did a lot of stuff off camera, y'all, because I was very indecisive with this build, but as of now, I'm using some of these full-length mirrors from the Into the Future pack. These are like some of my favorite ones. We have modern-ish windows in the base game, but these don't really have like a pane, you know. It's kind of like seamless for the most part. So I always try to use these whenever I'm doing like a fancy modern kind of build, because it just makes it look classier in my opinion. So I'm using some of those, and I kind of jump around a little bit with the inside, so I didn't really know what I wanted for the layout. So Gargamel wanted me to put, you know, certain things like, you know, a couple bars and some tables and some things for the Sims to do. So, you know, that's a given. I didn't really know like what layout I was trying to go for. Like, I knew what I wanted, I just didn't know where I wanted things to go. So luckily enough, I kind of figured it out in the end. So for this section over here in the build, I decided to make this into a karaoke room. So you'll see it a little bit later. So there's a karaoke room on the right side. The middle kind of has like the bubble blowing machines. I use this chain fence or beaded fence object to kind of have a little bit of separation, and I got to use some floors that I don't think I've ever really used before, y'all. They're like the funky looking pattern floors, you know. To me, these look really perfect for like an ice cream shop or like a club or like a kid's room, something like that. I also like separated some of the space with some wood floors. I redrew out the fence, and then I wanted to make sure that we had a bathroom, so I put the bathroom over here in the corner. I am kind of glad though that I separated the space a little bit, because it allowed me to make sure I had room for other things. So So there's 2 bars in this room. The first one I placed down is on the other side of the fence. I made sure to use the professional bars. I didn't want to use the dive bars. This way, like, the bartenders will look a little bit classier, you know. But I used a couple of those. I also wanted to use a lot of stuff from the late night pack, seeing as how that's the pack that gave us, you know, better bars and stuff. So, and then also that pack has a lot of good stuff for clubs. So we have like those globe light things. There's also the bubble blowing machines as well. So I made sure to put 2 of those. I had to like go and look at the instructions that Gargamel gave me because like I wanted to make sure that I didn't put too much stuff in here, you know. So I put 2 of those bubble blowing machines. And I guess I'll ask y'all, do you ever use these objects in The Sims 3? Because, like, if I do, it's not because I'm telling my Sims to go use it. They just kind of do it themselves, and I just let them use it, you know? But, like, do you ever use those, like, bubble-blowing machines? It's kind of like a hookah, kind of. But, like, do y'all ever use those? Because I don't really use them that much. I think, if anything, my Sims use them more in The Sims 2 and 4, but not in The Sims 3. Because, like, if you didn't know, the bubbles come in different flavors. So, like, yeah, do y'all ever use them? Over here by the door, I wanted to kind of have like a little sitting area, so I'm using some of these funky looking chairs from the late night pack. I kind of, like I said, y'all, I do jump around a little bit, so I jump back over here to where the professional bar is. I have the drink rack behind it. I put up a lot of those fluorescent lights in here, and then I do change the color of the lights, which I feel like is such an underrated thing in The Sims. Like, I don't know about The Sims 2, but I know Sims 3 and 4, you can like change the color and the intensity of certain lights, and you can have some really interesting looking rooms. Maybe The Sims 2 has it too, but I know like 3 and 4 have it. It made this lot look so much cooler in my opinion. Like, I just love the different color schemes. So each room is like a different color kind of. So like for this is more like purpley magenta color. The karaoke room is more of a like darker blue, and then of course I also go for blue in the other room because like even though you can change the colors of the light, I feel like the change wasn't that big for some colors. If I wanted to go for something like yellow, you could really barely see it, you know, so I wanted to kind of use like colors that you could actually see. So there's a lot of pink and blue and purple and green on this lot, and you'll see that in like the other rooms. So now we move on to the karaoke room. So at first this was going to be the dance club or like the dance floor section, but I was like, CJ, this room is so small, let's just not. And then since I had to use a couple tables anyway, I was like, why don't we have the karaoke machine in here? And then I add a couple of bar stool tables. I changed the color of the lights, and I used some really cool wallpaper on the wall. I also added a couple of those posters with the singers on them. And then you'll see that we have this little section with the columns on the outside. And I realized that I put glass on those. I didn't really mean to, but I was like, why don't I keep it? And then I put some like sculptures behind it, like a little museum kind of display. So you'll see it a little bit later, but I ended up putting that little singing statue from Showtime. There's like a microphone object behind glass, so I put that on a pedestal behind the little glass wall. So you'll see it a little bit later. And then I go back and I use the by debug lights to kind of like have like a little like light thing so you can kind of see it when it glows. It's gonna look cool, y'all. I've done this before in some builds, but I just like doing stuff like this because I don't know, it makes it like a little museum. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way this room turned out. I even went on the floor and I added some flame design, and then the chairs are zebra print. I feel like if anything, the outside is more modern. I feel like the inside is like very 2010 coded, if that makes sense. Like it's giving late night, if that makes sense. Like you see the zebra print, the bright neon colors. It's kind of just giving that vibe to me personally, but I'm really glad that I got to use a karaoke machine in here because it kind of makes sense, you know, like this is a dance club, but they also have karaoke. I would have loved to put a pool table and a shuffleboard object, but this lot wasn't that big. I didn't really want this lot to be like super big if I could help it, you know, just so it would maybe run a little bit better, you know, because I know how it is when you have a lot of Sims on one lot in The Sims 3. So I was like, maybe this lot doesn't need to be like super big, right? So there is no pool table or shuffleboard object, but I do have that little spinny object from Showtime. There's a couple of arcade cabinets in here, so you know your Sims can do other things than just drink, you know, and I guess sing. They can also dance. And then this is where the other professional bar is, so I just put a couple lights around it. I almost forgot to furnish the bathroom, y'all. There was like 2 times I almost stopped recording, and I was like, wait a minute, let me just look around, and then I realized that the bathroom was not furnished. I do furnish the bathroom at the very end of the video. But before, this is the dance room. So I didn't use the biggest dance floor option because I wanted to have some empty space in here, but I knew for a fact I wanted to use the dance dance floor. I also wanted to use some of those strobe light objects as well, just because, you know, like, I don't really use them too much. Sometimes I'll put them on my lots. I don't really put them on every lot, you know, but I just kind of wanted to use them this time around. So I had some in this room, and I also wanted to have like a nice brick wall. Now, it took me a while, y'all, to kind of figure out what the heck I wanted this room to look like. I almost added some of that carpet down here, but then I got rid of it. I just did not know what I wanted to do. But then eventually I settled on making it into a like futuristic dance kind of like techno room, if that makes sense. So you'll see it a little bit later, but I added some like futuristic props from Showtime. So we have like a futuristic city kind of dance room. There's also this DJ booth object that came with Showtime, so I ended up putting that in the room as well. And then I wanted to make sure that a sim could actually get behind there and DJ, so I made sure to like move some stuff over a little bit. You'll see it a little bit later in the video, but I like move some stuff back so your sims can use it. I also included a jukebox just in case you want it to have like music playing, you know? So I added one of those. I also added a lot of wall speakers in here too, so your sims can dance in other rooms. And one thing that I wanted to use in this lot, you may have seen it earlier, I used these wall light decoration things from Showtime. Y'all, they are so underrated. I feel like I don't really see people use them, but they're so cool because you can like stack them on top of each other and have some really interesting like lights on your wall, you know? They're like cool LEDs. I made sure to use a lot of those, seeing as how I could, because there's also these, but there's the ones from Roaring Heights, and since I can't use store content, I was like, maybe let me just use these. But these look so cool, you know, up against the wall. It's given very like 2010 in my opinion. But that's pretty much everything for this room. I do go back, y'all, and I added some blinds in here just to make the rooms a little bit darker and to also kind of give you some privacy, because like maybe you don't want everyone looking through the window seeing you dance, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much everything for this room. And I just gotta say, y'all, I really love how this lot turned out. I think just everything came together so nicely. I need to look back over my content because I don't really know, y'all, if I've ever built a dance club before on my channel. Maybe I have. I don't know. I know I've done bars and stuff before, but a dance club? I don't really know. But anyway, y'all, that is pretty much everything for this entire video. All we do now is the bathroom, and I wanted to make sure that I had some stalls and some urinals in here, and then I'm also using some of these nice sinks from the late night pack. But in all, that's pretty much it for the entire video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like, comment something down below, follow me over on Twitch where I stream a lot more of The Sims, and I'll leave a link to this build link down below if you want to download it and check it out. But anyway, y'all, that is all that I have for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Thanks for watching!